This is not what Habs fans wanted to see, as despite Nick Suzuki continuing his 7-game point streak, Slaf getting an assist, and even Dvorak continuing his good play, the game got incredibly physical, and Montreal was just not ready for this Ottawa Senators team tonight. There was a lot to talk about here. Pezzetta getting into a fight, but there's a few roster changes that a lot of fans are calling for coming up for next game, including a certain defenseman making a couple of misplays. We got a lot to dive into coming up on this episode of Habs Digest. But Jesse, before we get into the game, stick around for the game. There'll be a timestamp for that, but we got to let you guys know of something big that happened earlier today. And it's our boy Jacob Fowler, Jesse. We know he's probably going to play tomorrow on Saturday versus Syracuse, as Laval is playing right now versus Rochester. I think as the recording is 4-2 or 4-4. It's a close game. But Jacob Fowler, Jesse, he won the Mike Richter Award. Of course, he didn't get the Hobey Baker, but this is the next best thing. Something we all expected him to get with his absolutely insane stats. Again, with Demidov coming over right now, with Hage going back to Michigan, with Hudson being so good, Reinbacher joining the team in Rochester, and to see Jacob Fowler get this award. Again, when it comes to Habs prospects, at the very least, even with a loss today, I feel spoiled literally every single day.
For sure. And hopefully we have a young Mike Richter of our own in the making there. We know Jacob Fowler, it's big praise, but he's just gotten better and better. We see every single year, just looking at stats here, kind of capping it off his last year in the NCAA with a 1.63 GAA. This guy is just a competitor through and through, but the time has come for him to really get to that next level, and that's why we're so happy to have him in the fold here in the organization up on this side of the border.
So right now, Jesse, there is the question with Laval, who's been an unbelievable team this year. They're probably going to go into the playoffs with the number 1 seed overall in the AHL. Do you think I know Cayden Primeau's an RFA this offseason, so we do have to make a decision as to what we want to do there. Again, I think his spot in the NHL is a little long gone. Dobish has seemed to be better. Primeau's been amazing, but do you think there's a world where Fowler kind of takes over the starting spot as soon as next year? I mean, if Primeau's back, it's hard to say no to the stats that he's put up this year, but I mean, this guy here, I think, again, just getting these reps now, I think he could, I don't even know if it's sneakily, but I think he could absolutely steal a starting spot in Laval as soon as next season.
He's the heir apparent. And again, he was going to get some ice time, even if Connor Hughes wasn't injured, just showing they're going to make some ice time for this guy. So you have to feel like he's going to get every single opportunity. If we know one thing about Jacob Fowler, you know that he's gunning for that number 1 spot. So very interesting to see if we keep Primeau or not, who's going to kind of be getting that number 1 spot come that first day next year for them. But you have to feel like Fowler's definitely going to be going for that. Going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out.
I'm excited. Leave some love for Jacob Fowler down below. Mike Richter, look, just rename it. We'll be renaming this the Jacob Fowler Award in a number of years anyway. Sorry, Mike Richter, but we know who the true deserving person is for that. No slander to Mike Richter. Maybe I'm getting a little optimistic. Doesn't matter. Why would I not be optimistic? Well, tonight's result might be one. But look, guys, okay, I know a lot of people are really not happy with this game. We're not happy with this game. I'm not happy with how the result was. I'm not happy with how Montreal played throughout the whole game. But, Jesse, like we were saying before, we were a couple of bounces away from this being a much closer game. That 4th goal on Monty, absolute pure luck, right? We could be talking a 1-goal game going late in the 3rd, which is a very, very different scenario. And look, I know a lot of people are going to want to pile on Matheson, and we'll talk about him in a bit, but overall, like we do on the show, I want to focus on the positives first, because I did think there were some good games against Suzuki, getting another goal, 7 goals in 7 games, I believe. Slafkovsky getting an assist despite being benched a bit, and Christian Dvorak playing some really, really good hockey. And even Samuel Montembeault, the 4 goals against doesn't paint the whole picture, Jesse. He made some outstanding saves tonight. And despite this loss, I thought there were some good moments from a lot of people, including Kaiden getting, I believe, his most ice time in a while, if not completely this season for Montreal.
Yeah, I mean, having that 6-game win streak snapped, definitely, we wanted that better result tonight to kind of keep that going. That being said, this is definitely, a record for the Montreal Canadiens in terms of winning streaks in a good minute. So that needs to definitely be celebrated. But, it was kind of too many penalties tonight where Ottawa was kind of using that forecheck to their advantage and, and kind of the inverse of that, where we weren't just quite able to kind of sustain that offensive zone time. We definitely pressed as this game went on, though. After, we lost 2 early goals, we're getting the second period. We're kind of building that momentum, and we really brought that into that 3rd. But again, too many penalties where we're kind of finishing off the second, and kind of starting off the 3rd in that when we're really trying to get back onto our horse. Because we know a lot of the time that if this Montreal Canadiens, if they can kind of play even strength in that kind of 3rd period, they have a very good chance of kind of tying things up here. So again, a really early goal, really bad bounce is really kind of the difference in this game. That being said, it's the physicality was a big thing where this was a good, even though they lost this game, the Montreal Canadiens are getting a really big sign of what the playoffs are going to be. And it's much better that they kind of get this experience now than kind of have to kind of wait for it in game one, where they're knowing now, okay, like every game from here on out, basically for the most part, they're going to have to bring that physical edge, which we know Xhekaj was out tonight. We can see where he can maybe be useful in a game like that tonight. Where again, it is so important, that physical of, side of the game of just really asserting yourself. But it looks like the boys, they're really going to look to just get those solid starts, because I mean, we're finishing strong. If we can just get those better starts to kind of go with it of late, there's really no telling where we can go.
I mean, look, these slow starts are, again, I don't necessarily think they're concerning, but tonight's one of those nights where it caught up to us. Again, not like some bad bounces here and there made it out to be worse than it was. And again, some like really weird reffing, not just against Montreal, a bit against Ottawa too, but like
true.
A player playing a stick that was sitting on the ice, shooting it towards Lane Hutson in the middle of the play, no penalty call. Nick Suzuki with the most phantom hooking call I've ever seen, only his fourth penalty this year. Patrick Laine just standing with a stick under his arm, something that goes uncalled in 99% of games, and in this super physical game it gets called against him. Hutson getting cross-checked in the face. There's a bunch of things, right? So again, we could be talking a very different, like penalty kill, power play scenario. All that to say, we lost. But what does that mean? Right now, again, 6 points ahead of Columbus. To miss the playoffs, Montreal still have to lose out Columbus and have to win 3 of their last 4. I'm not worried about that. I do want to talk about those slow starts a little bit and some of these mistakes we are seeing in our own end, Jesse. I know fans like to pile on Mike Matheson. I think, is that the wrong one? Yeah, this is the one. Fans sometimes like to pile on Mike Matheson. He was a -3 tonight. Look, I've historically been a bit of a Mike Matheson truther, saying like I think he is better than he looks because he makes a lot of good plays but makes some really, really bad plays. Tonight, I thought he was quite poor. I don't know. I don't want to pile on the guy too much because, again, he does so much for this team. He gives so much effort. But there was a couple plays tonight, especially that empty netter, where I was just left a little bit baffled. Again, there's a reason Hutson played 25 minutes tonight. Are you concerned at all with the amount of slow starts? And we know it's a problem. We can't seem to fix it. And still seeing some pretty brutal issues on our own blue line from time to time. Not just Matheson, some other guys too, when other teams are forechecking us hard. Because I feel like, again, in the playoffs, that's something that might actually pick up a little bit.
Well, that being said, to have these slow starts but still be coming off of a 6-game winning streak is still saying a lot about this team of what they are capable of. So again, just kind of starting earlier is just going to give this team that much better of a chance on, again, we've seen progressively how through many games, how they're just kind of building as the game's going on, but we just want to set that benchmark just a little bit higher from the get-go. Keep building as the game goes on. Absolutely. The Montreal Canadiens being a strong third period team. But, just kind of starting off a little bit stronger there. And again, it's not like it was just a very well executed play from the Sens there. And again, being on the forecheck there. But again, it's a lot of kind of pre-handling those situations in the neutral zone, which is kind of at the root of this. To get to Mike Matheson is, there was definitely 2 goals where he was very kind of subject on.
Yeah.
And as I was texting you during the game, it's like, I would want to blame this all on Mike Matheson, but that would be unfair.
Yeah.
That being said, is like with him, it is fair to say that often the kind of the costly mistakes that he make, where are they found? We all know it, in front of the net.
Yeah.
And that's often the one place where we kind of want to remedy the most. We've all seen enough where kind of somebody's scoring right in front of our net. And again, tonight, the most unacceptable thing was this. There was 2 goals that were essentially carbon copies of each other scored against the Montreal Canadiens. And that's just something that you want to eliminate. You never want to get burned twice, especially when there was a little bit of a set play there involved. At least learn from that, and then kind of, especially, kind of early on in the period as well, just in so many ways. So again, we do want to see Mike Matheson just kind of holding it down in front of the net. There definitely is those concerns sometimes of like, how much of a playoff player is he really? But again, I'm a believer that, anybody that's on this team right now contributing to the 6-game winning streak, getting this team into a playoff position. Yes, there's some tough things with Matheson's game, but any player that has helped them to get where they are, to be honest, has just completely changed my viewpoint on Mike Matheson as a whole. Like, as the net positive of Mike Matheson this far is that he is still helping this team in a tremendous way for them to be in the position that they're at. Do we want to tidy this up? Yes, but now is kind of the time to do that before the playoffs get rolling.
I think we might be the only outlet that is still like, guys, I still think Matheson's like overall a positive player. I think, again, look, the sky's not falling right now. He makes a ton of bad mistakes, no doubt. I still think, like, again, are we going to talk about that incredible penalty kill that he had with Dvorak with no stick, right? Where he plays games where he plays 31 minutes with very few mistakes and incredible defensively. We'll see how that plays out in the playoffs. Again, he makes those mistakes in his own end. Hopefully he can remedy that. Regardless, though, sky's not falling, guys. We're still here. We're still right there in the playoff spot. Lots of chances. We just need to get 2 points versus Toronto tonight, or if Columbus ever loses, we just need that one. We're right there on the verge. Beyond exciting to be a Habs fan right now. Let us know your thoughts on this game, and I bet you a lot of you probably disagree with our take on Matheson. If you do, let us know down below. I know you guys love to do that, so I think that'd be a bit of fun to talk about. But listen, we got a lot of stuff coming up. Toronto tomorrow, we got Monday, we got Wednesday. Season's coming to an end, and the Habs are making the playoffs. Don't forget to meet up. We got so many great things, so stick around for all of that. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching as always. Feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 20,000 subs, and if you're one of the people that is not subscribed, half the people, hit the button now. We're pushing. You want to be one of the first 20,000, right? I know you do. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.